Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pathways to Happiness podcast. My name is Nena Lavonne, and today we are talking about the power of and the importance of kindness. I was on the receiving end of two really beautiful acts of kindness yesterday, and it just filled me with so much gratitude, and it was just such a reminder of why we should make kindness a priority in our life. It's amazing how something that could take us 2 seconds or really little to no effort at all, how it can dramatically affect someone's life and lead to significant and dramatic changes. So, today we're going to be talking about how we can be more kind, as well as the psychology behind kindness and its positive effects on our well being and our happiness, and also what really prevents us from being kind sometimes, even though deep down we feel like it's the right thing to do. It's a topic that I am just so passionate about, so I definitely want to jump right in. But before I do, I, as always, want to thank you so much for your tremendous support, both here and on the Nena Lavonne YouTube channel. I love answering your questions and reading your insightful comments. And so much of this content is directly in response to the topics and the comments you send in or that you want to know more about. So thank you so much for being a part of this community and also for your dedication to yourself and to your own self-growth and healing. So that being said, let's get right into our topic today because I have so much I want to say about it. I think my earliest memory of learning about kindness came when I was a little girl. I had been playing in our front yard and I heard this yelping sound near the road. So I walked over to it and there was this little kitten and she was definitely suffering. I think she had actually been hit by a car. Now, I am an animal lover, especially cats, so seeing this was really upsetting to me. And I ran into the house and told my dad about the cat, and he dropped everything that he was doing, and together we took her to the vet. And long story short, she did survive and began to feel a lot better within a few weeks. So, of course, by this time, I was really attached to the cat and I wanted to keep her forever. So, I asked my dad if she could be part of our family, and she was weak and that she really needed me to protect her and to keep her safe. And I will never forget what he said to me, which was, "Oh, Nena, I know you want to save all the broken kitties in the world, but sadly, that is not possible." And by then, the tears were just really rolling down my cheeks, and I argued with him. I said, "I am not asking to save all the broken kitties. I am just asking to save this one." And then he just kind of studied my face for seemingly forever and eventually said, "All right, kiddo, looks like you got yourself another cat." And I swear it was one of the happiest moments of my life. And I think so often, not only about my father's compassion and kindness, not only for the kitty, but also for me. And I also think about that sentence, "You can't fix all the broken kitties." And he's right. We can't always fix situations, but we can always find some way to be kind. And I think that is often what makes the difference. And yes, it is still my nature to still want to fix situations, but I've learned the difference between what I can control and what I cannot. And in any situation, I still try my best to lead with kindness. And I admit that's not always easy to do for any of us. And I fail at this mission sometimes, just like we all do, because life is complicated and we are human beings. It's easy to have the blanket statement, "Be kind." But what about when we are hurting ourselves? It can feel a lot harder to be kind. There are simply just a lot of emotions that can cloud even our best intentions. And that doesn't mean that we are bad people. It just means that we need to also remember that we also need to be kind to ourselves and we need to take care of our own needs, because sometimes it can seem hard to be kind to others when we don't feel like we are on the receiving end of kindness, which of course is never guaranteed. It's not something that we can always expect from life, but it is something that we can learn to count on from ourselves. We can make it a priority to treat ourselves with kindness, and when we do that, it makes it a lot easier to practice kindness to the rest of the world. So just so we are on the same page about what is really meant by the word kindness, I just wanted to quickly define it and talk about what it really means in a practical sense. So, the official definition of kindness is the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. But I think it really expands far beyond that definition. I think it's actually a lot bigger and a lot broader. I think there's also sometimes a negative stereotypical connotation that can come along with it, that people who are kind are weak or naive. But I don't believe that that is the case at all. I think that kindness is a quality that requires strength and courage most of the time, and sometimes even a certain level of maturity. Kindness is not always the easiest route to take. So, what then does kindness really mean, and what does it entail? I think it can actually mean very different things to different people, and that we can all interpret different things as being kind in nature. And I think that we all really show kindness in different ways. And maybe it comes down to the way we would like people to show kindness to us, or wish people would show kindness to us. So for one person, it could be choosing to act in a way that is empathetic or compassionate, or for another person, it might be doing something helpful for someone or intentionally trying to make their lives easier in some way. It could be anything that comes with the intention of goodwill towards another person. And that is kind of the difference between kindness and being nice. It's great to be nice, and it's important that we are nice, but there doesn't have to be that true intention or that sincerity behind our actions if we're just talking about being nice. Kindness is really kind of that step beyond. I think it's amazing how something so small, such a tiny, effortless gesture, can affect someone so much, and it often does. I reached out on Twitter this morning and asked some of you what the kindest thing someone did for you recently was. And the answers really showed me how much the little things really do matter. So some of the answers were related to online experiences, such as people telling them they were special, or to have a nice day, or sincerely asking them how they were doing. It seems so simple, right? But I think we forget these basic things sometimes. It can really make people understand and feel like they matter when you genuinely take interest in their life or ask them about their well-being. We get so busy sometimes that I think we can forget how important that really is. Things like this used to seem like such a priority in the past, and I feel like we are getting further and further away from true human connection. So, reading these comments was such a reminder to take that 2 seconds to ask someone about their day, or to really listen to their concerns or their problems. Listening is a huge act of kindness and something that can be rare in this day and age. And then other people said things like that people checked in on them after they got their shot, or drove them somewhere, or helped them with something that they were having trouble with. One person even said that a complete stranger bought them supplies to repair a swing that they had made in the woods for their grandchildren when they noticed it had been vandalized. Just hearing about things like this really restores your faith in humanity, because there are still so many good people out there. There are so many acts of kindness, and we're not really used to hearing about them. We are just so used to hearing all the bad stuff with so much negativity and suffering in the world right now. I mean, just hearing about this kindness can be so uplifting. And it's just incredible how much being on the receiving end of kindness can change the course of your life. I know for my own life, I've had so many kind people come into my life and really touch it forever. Even people I no longer see, I still remember their kindness and it still impacts my life. An act of kindness just seems to kind of stay with you forever. I have this memory as a young adult. I was in a record store. Remember those? Now it's a relic we never hear about, but they used to be some of my favorite places on earth. But this one I remember so clearly. It was on Thayer Street in Providence, Rhode Island, and I wish I remembered the actual name. I don't. But I was in there pretty often, and this time that I was in there, I was just visibly upset. I was going through a really tough time in my life, and I was just really confused. And there was a sales lady there who, I mean, I'm sure she had noticed me around sometimes, but really was a complete stranger to me. And she noticed that I seemed unhappy, and she took the time to actually ask me about it. And when you have just been holding in everything for so long, I know you've had this experience, and someone asks you about it, and you just can't stop from just spilling everything out. That's kind of what happened when she asked me the question. And she said something in response that has stuck with me still to this day, which was, take control of your life. It is not that hard. And the delivery of the statement was almost like an order, like just take control of your life. And that sentence shifted the entire course of the rest of my life because it was exactly what I needed to hear. And because I actually took that advice, I did take control of my life. And that one stranger reminded me that I had the power to change my life, that circumstances can change if we want them to, and if we do the work. And to me, thinking back, her taking the time out of her day to talk to me and extend a helping hand, even though it didn't take that much effort on her part, was such a great gesture of humanity and kindness. It's so important that we look out for one another, to offer each other's help, offer support, offer each other just a smile. It's that care, it's that connection. It's so important because without it, we can feel so alone, like we're just doing it all on our own, like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. It's just a reminder that we are all connected, that there's help out there, there's love, that somehow we're all kind of in this together. We're all humans here on this earth. We're just trying to figure it out. That's all we're doing here, just trying to figure it all out. And when we can make someone else's journey a little easier, when we can help them to suffer less, it can really make a difference. I just thought of one more story I wanted to share before moving on because it's just another great example of how an act of kindness can impact your life so significantly. So, when I was 15, I decided I wanted to play guitar. I still play guitar today, by the way, not nearly as often as I would like, and definitely I would not say that I have any kind of great talent in it, but I still love it. Anyway, I bought the guitar with the money I saved up from my summer job, and I asked my mom if I could take lessons. Now you could just learn on the internet, but back then you had to go and find a teacher and drive there, and it was a whole big thing. But she still agreed, and it was not cheap. And she did all this legwork, all this digging around to find me a teacher, and then I started to go to lessons. And I hated them. I really, really did not like this teacher at all. He was just stern and serious, and it was just sucking the passion that I initially had of, playing guitar. It was just, kind of soul crushing. And I didn't want my mom to know because she had already paid for the lessons and I felt really bad about it. So I tried to hide how much I hated them, but I never wanted to practice. And somehow she figured out that it was not a positive experience for me. I have no idea how she knew because I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my brother or sister. I didn't tell anyone. So I'm not sure how she knew, but she did figure it out. And one day I was getting ready for her to drive me to a lesson. And she came to me right before and said that I didn't have to go. Now, she probably does not even remember this, but it was like the biggest relief in the world. I had so much guilt and I was feeling so many negative emotions, and she just kind of erased it when she said that. Not only that, but she said that she would actually help me find a new teacher, which she did, and it was one that I ended up really liking. And if she had not done that, I probably would have stopped playing guitar after the lesson she had paid for ran out, because I wouldn't have wanted her to pay for more when I was clearly not enjoying it. And it would have just ended the dream for me. It was just such a kind and wonderful moment, and it's something that I still remember. And like I said, I've played guitar ever since. It's funny because as an adult, I had this guitar teacher that I was so excited to work with because he had been on MTV. His name was Chris Rizzola, and he had been in this band called Steelheart. I don't know if anyone remembers this band at all. Please comment down below if you do. They had this song called Angel Eyes that was, I guess, somewhat popular. But even though glam metal, which is what he played, was definitely not my chosen musical genre, I was still really honored to work with him. And he was actually a really fantastic teacher, definitely the best one I've ever had. But anyway, without my mother's kindness and compassion, I think I just would have given up entirely. And I think this is the type of thing that is true a lot of times, that one little thing someone does gives someone the strength to go on, or the motivation or the encouragement to do something that they are uncertain about. And all other types of positive consequences. It just takes that one little act of kindness. I think that famous quote is absolutely true. That quote of, "Be kind, everyone you meet is fighting a battle that you know nothing about." Sometimes it can be shocking when you do hear what people are going through. I mean, I'm an optimist, but life really can be so tough. I know people right now who are going through the most difficult battles imaginable, like truly unthinkable. Health battles, financial battles, relationship battles, deep concern and worry about loved ones who are going through their own difficult times. And even when it's not something that seems outwardly to be that extreme or that challenging, it can still be incredibly painful. It can still be incredibly tough. Inward battles can often be as trying as external battles. And just with my experience working with my clients, or even before I was a life coach when I owned a dance studio, I have learned through talking to hundreds and actually probably thousands of people that pain is universal. Everybody has stuff. And yes, some people are in situations that are more challenging than others, but no one's life is perfect. No one is pain-free. And because of that, we're all in need of kindness. And one of the most wonderful things about being kind is that it has so many benefits for the person that is offering the kindness as well. I love all the research that's been done in the field of positive psychology about kindness, because it just points to that conclusion 100%. Research has shown us without a doubt that after performing kind acts, happiness increases, sometimes dramatically, and that there is a positive relationship between the number of kind acts someone performs and the level of happiness that that person experiences. And if you want to read more about that, I will direct you to positivepsychology.com. You can read more about that if you enjoy studying kind of the scientific side of things. But definitely check out the info from a study done in 2018 by Rowland and Curry that specifically addresses the science of kindness. It's really interesting, but a little too long to include in the podcast today. But it talks about how being kind actually increases self-esteem. It reduces the risk for disease. It helps us to be less emotionally reactive. It helps to lower stress. It can even reduce the level of social anxiety that we experience. So, very interesting research and something to definitely check out when you have the time. So, most importantly, how can we be more kind? I think the ways are really endless, but for one, we can consider kindness before we speak, to choose words that are the least hurtful and the most uplifting possible for the situation. Also, to choose kindness before we act, to stop and ask ourselves, is our reaction something kind? Is our, response something that is kind? And remind ourselves of the importance that kindness really holds. We can learn to be kind to everyone. It's easy to be kind to people that we know and love or who we feel are similar to us. But when we can learn to be kind to people who are different than us, when we don't discriminate who we are kind to, that can really make a huge difference as well. We can reach out in situations when it's unlikely that other people are going to do it. We can be that person. It's hard to be the first person to take action sometimes, but someone always has to be the first person. We could also lend a hand in some way. We could find a way to spread beauty. We could send a kind note to someone, or even a text or an email. We can do simple things like letting a stranger go in front of us in line if they have less items, or give them a genuine compliment. We can smile at people when we make eye contact with them. It really does make a difference. We can volunteer or offer our time for a cause that we feel is important. Or we can think of something amazing that we could do for someone to brighten their day or their week or their life. Or we could just simply be there for someone. We could show up for them. We could give them a hug, show our support, listen to them without distractions. We could pay for the person behind us in line, or we could strike up a conversation with a stranger who seems lonely. We could do anything at all that would make someone's life a little bit better, because so often it starts a chain reaction in their life, or it just gives them hope, especially right now when, again, so many people are feeling so hopeless and have just gone through so much over the last year. You just never know how much you might be affecting someone's life. I'll never forget when Facebook was a new thing and everybody was, reaching out, trying to find, who they went to elementary school with and all these people from their past. And I remember that some of the people that I did go to elementary school with got in contact with me, and I was chatting with one of them. And he said, I will never forget that day on the playground that I was crying, and you picked up that dandelion and you gave it to me and you told me that everything was going to be okay. And, that moment stuck with me forever. Now, I do not remember this happening. I barely remember this person at all. And I don't know if it was a significant event at all, but it was significant in their life. And what did that take me? 1 second to pop a dandelion out of the, crack in the pavement and on the playground and hand it to him. But he still remembers that to this day. And you just think about in your own life, all those memories that you have of the times when you needed that kind word, or you were in a desperate situation and someone was compassionate or understanding, or they went the extra mile to help you. These moments truly do stick with us forever. They offer us hope, and they allow us to continue in life, and they remind us again of the good that is still in the world, because we can get so focused on the bad. Because let's face it, there are a lot of negative things going on in the world, and on top of that, we all have the things in our own life, our silent battles that no one knows about. I know people can look at you and, think they've got you all figured out, and we know that's never the case. We know that we have all the things in our own life that only we understand. And if we think about that in terms of other people, and again, going back to that quote about everyone having battles that we know nothing about, it's so true. And that just goes to show us how much kindness matters. Kindness is necessary. Kindness can truly be life changing. So, I want to know. Please tell me what kind things people have done for you lately, and what acts of kindness have you given to the world lately yourself. I would also like to know any further ideas that you have on different ways to be kind. Maybe we can all kind of inspire each other by offering our own ideas about that, because again, kindness is so important. And I hope today's podcast inspired you to get out there and make someone's day a little bit brighter. So that's where I will end it today. Please keep your questions coming. You can email me at nena.lavonne@gmail.com if you would like to be anonymous, or you can also reach out to me on Twitter, and my Twitter handle is at Nena Lavonne. So definitely reach out there if you have questions or insight that you would like to share, and definitely take a moment to become a subscriber, both here and on the Nena Lavonne YouTube channel. We definitely want you to connect and be a part of this community if you aren't already connected. And I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. I hope the rest of your week is extraordinary, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Have an amazing day, guys.